Members of Ugborodu community in Escravos, Delta State have besieged the gates of Chevron facility in a peaceful protest over what they describe as neglect by the international oil company which operates in their vicinity. The coastal communities comprising Madao, Ajudiagbo, Ogidigben, Ijagala and Ode Ugborodu says that over 300 meters of their land has been washed away by erosion. Amongst other demands, they are seeking shoreline protection measures from the oil company. Our correspondent, Olu Phillips, reports.
Make no mistakes about these people floating in the big waters of Escravos. It's a whole new dimension to agitation, probably not seen or heard in our polity. These are aggrieved Ishakiri youths from Ugborodu community, Warri Southwest local government area of Delta State, who have taken to the waters around Chevron major facility in their area, Ode Ugborodu, to protest the multinational oil company's neglect of their community, which has hosted Chevron for over 4 decades. Others who are not in the water or on the speedboat converged by the perimeter fence of Chevron's office, demanding unanimously for the following: the construction of a formidable shoreline protection, power supply, cottage hospital, better working condition and remuneration for the few residents recruited by Chevron, among other demands.
Their crafts, their vessels, continuously moving from those platforms to their operational base. And all of these things contribute oceanic waves. And that is what has broken the banks beyond that point at Ogidigben.
If the oil companies are giving us jobs, giving us contracts, I'm sure some of these cries will have been lessened. Again, they are very negligent. They don't see the community as anything. They don't see the people as anything. Their own is they want to make profit.
For the elders of this community who can be up and swimming like their children, they've gathered to show support for the community which hosts 3 of Chevron's interests: the Escravos Gas to Liquid (EGTL), Escravos Gas to Plant (EGP), and Chevron Tank Farm, all in Ugborodu community.
No job for the youth. Even elders, they are suffering.
The community-wide protest has also seen some of their sons return to the country in solidarity.
The gas that powers the country is from this place. But as you can see, the people live in total darkness. In 2012, we did something like this, and there was an MOU that they were going to power this community within Chevron and the federal government. But up to date, nothing to show.
As of the time of this report, there are indications that a high-powered meeting is ongoing at the state and federal level. But while that is on, they have promised to remain here morning and night, as demonstrated with the food items here, drinks, sleeping items, canopies, and some music for the soul. Olu Phillips, Channels Television News.
Shell Nigeria says that it is committed to cleaner energy and has reduced flared gas levels by 80% over the past 10 years. The global energy giant launches the 2019 edition of the Shell in Nigeria Benefit Briefing Note, an annual publication detailing the activities of the business interest of 2018.
Shell Nigeria is detailing its environmental performance, economic contributions and deep water operations in Nigeria.
We've been doing this for a long time. We're the only IOCs that do this. We publish. We have the details in us, so I will not...
Shell says it continues to contribute to economic development in the country by supplying gas for power generation and industrial processes.
2018 has been an exciting year for us. We've managed to sort of expand our gas distribution facility in Nigeria by over 150%. That's the equivalent of about 400 megawatts when its capacity is fully utilized. The real achievement is not the quantum supply. It's the fact that we have been able to supply gas on an uninterruptible basis for over 5 months.
The oil giant says it is making progress in the area of spill prevention.
In broad terms, over the previous year, as high as these numbers are, it represents a reduction. So it's a slight reduction in the volumes. So we must give credit to the security agencies as well as our people for what they are doing to try and combat this.
Shell is also giving assurance on his commitment to local content development as part of his contribution to the country's economy.
Percentage involvement in Bonga Southwest, our expectation is that we should be above 70%. If you notice that the GINA has delivered about 70%, our objective is to beat that.
Over the past 10, 12 years when we started this conversation, we have actually reduced our flare gas levels by over 80%. So we are actually now down to very, very limited flare gas.
For the year 2019, Shell Nigeria says it is hoping to cement its place as a valued partner of growth by maintaining close collaboration with host communities, tiers of government and other stakeholders.
Time now for business news on the news at 10 with Anwar Odo.
You first. First Bank.
Thank you, Gimba. Welcome to Business News for tonight. The Director General of the Bureau for Public Enterprises, Mr. Alex Oko, has identified privatization as key to attaining the restructuring of the nation's health sector. At a meeting in Abuja, the nation's capital, Mr. Oko says the annual loss of over 175 billion naira owing to medical tourism can be addressed through partnership with the private sector to address the numerous challenges in the health sector. Dufil Premier Foods, makers of Indomie noodles, have begun the search for potential awardees for the 2019 Indomie Independence Day Award. At a meeting with journalists in Lagos, the company's top management disclosed that while 39 winners have emerged from past editions, the 12th installment is expected to produce 3 more winners.
This press conference signals the commencement of the 12th edition of the Indomie Independence Day Awards.
On the 26th of May 2012, at about 9:30 p.m., was when the fire started in my room. But the fear of dying with my brother crossed my mind, and in a split second, I used my elbow to break the glass window.
With 39 stories of social, physical and intellectual bravery already told, the search for the next 3 heroic feats by young Nigerians deserving of accolades begins.
To date, I have created many fascinating electronic gadgets.
This is our investment into the future of Nigeria. Because when you make the right investment in the Nigerian child, you're actually investing in the future of the country.
To be a winner of this award is of immense value to the organizers, Dufil Premier Foods.
It's not a function of one-off for us. It's a situation whereby they become part and parcel of the Indomie family, they become part and parcel of Dufil family, to ensure that we take them from that so-called ground zero and we take them to another level to ensure that they become someone better.
If you see most of these kids, it's very unfortunate, the circumstances, how we find them. And from where we find them to today where most of them are. I take a lot of pride in that.
Saturday, 12th October 2019 is the date for this year's event at the Federal Palace Hotel Marquis. Dufil Premier Foods appreciates every support.
I would also like to thank the people of Nigeria for their trust and belief in our brand and this project. To conclude, I'd just like to say that we'll do our best to make this edition even greater and take it to greater heights.
And on how to participate.
You can go to our website, www.dufil.com. You will see a particular page there, which is the Indomie Heroes Award, Indomie Independence Day Award, which you can have a platform there where you can use in submitting your entries.
The Indomie Independence Day Award recognizes, rewards, and encourages acts of heroism in children 15 years and below.
Well, the domestic stock market has lost an additional 23 billion naira today. It is gradually heading towards the 20,000 lower level after investors sustained sell pressure in key 3 sectors of the NSE. Edith Young Ewang has more for us.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. The 3.48% drop in shares of Nestle did not allow the positive momentum seen at intraday continue, as that pulled the all-share index down 0.22% at the end of Tuesday's trading session. As a result, the consumer goods sector shed 1.68%, while industrial goods was down 0.57%. However, the banking index gained 1.29%, oil and gas was up 0.68%, while insurance added 0.02%. Now look at this. The banking counter's performance is evident on the list of top trades, as Tier 1 lenders such as GT Bank, Zenith and Access topped the chart. Total volume and value of equities traded today were lower compared to Monday's session, as 200 million shares worth 2.6 billion naira were exchanged in 3,600 deals. And that's a summary of Tuesday's trading activities at the Nigerian stock market. I am Edidion Iwang.
Thank you, Didion. Stock markets in the United States have made a rebound even in Europe from earlier losses. Investors are still weighing the impact of escalating trade war between the United States and China. But on the other hand, it's negative close for their Asian counterparts after Beijing announced on Monday that it will raise tariffs on $60 billion worth of U.S. goods from June the 1st. Let's see how they all closed today. That's Business News Tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Anne Ugborodu. The rest of the news at 10 continues now with Gimba.
You First. First Bank.
Let's get some international news now. Here's Simon Pusey with Around the World in 5.
Good evening from the Channel's newsroom here in London. At least 6 protesters have been killed and dozens injured during clashes with security forces in Sudan. Despite the violence, demonstrators are refusing to give up their fight for a full civilian government. Protesters say soldiers were behind the gunfire which claimed lives, but the army is blaming unidentified elements. It comes just a day after a political transition deal between the opposition and the military rulers was secured. The balance of power is still an issue.
أنا رصاص بعد 20 متر بالكثير زول شايفني وقاصد يعني متعمد إنها تجي فيني ما حتى ما ضرب في رجلي ولا ضرب فوق بلي في الجو جاب عديل يعني في يدي الشمال كان قاصد تقريبا القلب ضرب القصد منه إنه قتل يعني ما ترويع ولا تخويف ولا كده.
لم نطلق رصاصة واحدة سواء من القوات المسلحة أو قوات الدعم السريع أو أي قوات نظامية أخرى على أفراد شعبنا المعتصمين لأجل أغراض نحن ذاتنا معهم فيها، ولكن نكرر كذلك لن نسمح بالفوضى، لأن الفوضى بعدين وبال على هذا الشعب. ما بيستحق الشعب السوداني يصل لمصير ما وصلت إليه بعض الشعوب حولنا.
The WhatsApp cyber attack has been referred to the US Department of Justice. Hackers exposed a major vulnerability by remotely installing spyware on smartphones and computers through the voice call function, even when the call wasn't picked up. The software was reportedly developed by Israeli firm NSO Group. WhatsApp, which is owned by Facebook, says a select number of users were targeted and that the breach has the hallmarks of a private company working with governments on surveillance. 1.5 billion users around the world are now being urged to update the app. A fix was rolled out on Friday.
These softwares that NSO is marketing as tools to prevent terror and crime are used against human rights defenders and lawyers and doctors and members of parliament. We are not criminals and we are not terrorists. And when the Ministry of Defense in Israel allows this to happen, it endangers millions of people around the world.
There's growing unrest in Sri Lanka, with Muslims being targeted across the country. Police are trying to control mobs who have been attacking mosques and shops, ransacking and destroying them as retribution for the Easter bombings, which killed more than 250 people. One man was stabbed to death during a commotion as crowds burnt Qurans. A service has been held in Paris for 2 Special Forces officers who died during a rescue operation in Burkina Faso. Crowds lined the streets to honour Cédric de Pierrepont and Alain Berton-Kello, who were killed during the raid, which saved 2 French tourists, an American and a South Korean. The French President, Emmanuel Macron, described them as heroes who sacrificed their lives to save others. The United States and Russia are working on their relationship. The US Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, who's in Moscow, told the Foreign Minister, Sergei Lavrov, that it's time to start a new constructive way of working together.
President Trump is committed to improving this relationship. As I think you said, we have differences. Each country will protect its own interests, look out for its own interests of its people. But it's not destined that we're adversaries on every issue, and I hope that we can find places where we have a set of overlapping interests and can truly begin to build out strong relationships.
Former US Congressman Anthony Weiner has been released from custody. He was sentenced to 21 months in jail for sending sexually explicit messages to a 15-year-old girl. Weiner was released from prison in February and had served the remainder of his term in a halfway house in New York. He ran for city mayor in 2013 but dropped out of the race when the lewd messages became public.
I am glad to be getting back to my family. I hope to be able to live a life of integrity and service, and I'm glad this chapter of my life is behind me.
And finally, a British motor enthusiast has set a new land speed record in a tuk-tuk. The vehicle, which was bought on eBay, reached a speed of 119.6 kilometers per hour, beating the previous record of 110 kilometers per hour. Matt Everard spent more than $25,000 fitting it out. He says he now aims to break 160 kilometers per hour. And that's your international news around the world in 5.
Brilliant, thanks indeed, Simon. Still ahead on the news at 10. Mikel Obi returns to the Super Eagles squad as Gernot Rohr invites 25 players to camp for the 2019 African Cup of Nations. That's on Sports News. Stay with us.